Ladies and gentlemen, this is reality. This pie in the sky heaven, going to heaven and seeing, your pet dog and your grandmother, and having a reunion with all your families. Oh, yeah, like that's going to be a real bargain. You can hardly stand one day a year getting together with all your relatives, and now you're going to spend eternity with them? Some of you will be cast in prison to try you, and you'll have tribulation 10 days, but be faithful until death. It's just a short time. 10 days is like, okay, it doesn't literally mean 10 days. It's like, okay, your tribulation, being in prison, is just going to be for a short time. Compared with eternity, it's like 10 days. It's going to be long, feel long while you're doing it, but be faithful to death, and I will give you a crown of everlasting life. He that overcomes with these things will not be harmed of the second death. When is the second death? Clear to the end. The second death, those cast into the lake of fire, it's not going to come upon them. You can be thankful for that. Here it is to the believers in Thyatira. He that overcomes these things, I'm not going to go into what you have to overcome, but it's very specific what you're to overcome. It's not a general category of overcomers, but he that overcomes these things will be given authority over the nations. He shall rule over them with a rod of iron and dash them to pieces as defiled vessels of pottery. Just as I received the morning star from my Father, I will give this reward to those who keep my works until the end. This is Psalm 2. This is what all of Israel was expecting and hoping for. Not the suffering servant, not the lamb before his shears was dumb, not the one who would have his heel bruised, but would bruise the head of the serpent. No, they're looking for the Messiah who will rule the nations with a rod of iron. He says, you will rule with me. Just as I've received this promise of my Father, I'm giving this promise to you. There is no promise about going to heaven and sitting on a cloud. That, again, is Christianity nonsense. That's a word from hell. Completely to disregard everything that Yeshua says. I've had it. I have had it. I am going to war. I'm going to war over this travesty. And if you want to go to war with me, stay tuned. Be with me. Because we're not letting up. We haven't even begun to touch this. Then, to Sardis, they that overcomes these things shall be clothed in white raiment. I will not blot out their name from the book of life, but I will call out their names before my Father and his holy angels. These are the ones that John sees when they are called by name into the marriage supper of the Lamb. John falls down like a dead man at the feet of the angel. He cannot believe the incredible as he sees these people walk by with white garments, which are the righteous acts of the saints, the righteousnesses of the saints. They are clothed with garments that show their whole life story. When John sees this, he craters. He can't believe it. He falls down at the feet of the angel, and the angel says, get up. You were told to write this stuff down. Now write it down. This is a testimony of Yeshua. This is the spirit of this whole prophecy. This is so that the believers will know that it's worth anything and everything, whatever they have to go through, to be clothed in white raiment and to hear their names called into the Mishkan in heaven, into the heavenly tabernacle, to tabernacle with Yeshua at the marriage supper of the Lamb. It's worth everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is reality. This pie in the sky heaven, going to heaven and seeing, your pet dog and your grandmother, and having a reunion with all your families. Oh, yeah, like that's going to be a real bargain. You can hardly stand one day a year getting together with all your relatives, and now you're going to spend eternity with them? Yeah, that's supposed to be heaven? All these ridiculous things. Oh yeah, we're going to go to the big poker table in the sky. We're going to go to that big football stadium in the sky. You know, all these things. It's like whatever is important to you in this life, you get to go to that big whatever, that big bordello in the sky. You know, it's time to wake up and quit following a false prophet like Muhammad and Joseph Smith and all these other so-called religious leaders when Yeshua is the one that we follow. But we don't know anything about what he says because we don't read his words. We just take these other idiots' word for it. So here we go. I'll read another one. He that overcomes these things will be allowed to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. But Yeshua's throne is going to be on the earth. Isaiah tells us that the Messiah will sit in the tabernacle of David on his throne. How is this going to happen? Because you all thought that the tabernacle of David and the Ark of the Covenant, which is the representation of the throne of God upon the earth, which is the Messiah's millennial throne, you thought that just disappeared. Or you read a verse out of the book of Revelation, which happens after the last trumpet, in which the saints are gathered together on the sea of fire and glass, and the Ark of the Covenant is seen in the tabernacle in heaven, which is where Yeshua is going to sit for the marriage supper of the Lamb. And then he's going to bring that throne back with him and rule from that throne upon the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, the tabernacle of David and the Ark of the Covenant were both hidden by Jeremiah. We're going to get into that in some detail because Yeshua reveals this to Paul. But yet, because people are reading English and not even bothering to read the Greek, and what the Greek translation behind it, which is the Hebrew, which is Paul's native language, they're neglecting to read the words of the prophet. So, just as he sat down with the Father on his throne, we will be invited to rule with Yeshua as priests and kings upon the earth. We will see all these things come to pass from here to eternity. Now, to get into the mystery of iniquity, the behind-the-scenes working of Satan as the god of this age, to see what he is doing now as the accuser of the brethren before the throne of God, as we see in Revelation 12. And as we see in the second chapter of Job, that Satan goes around about the earth and then comes before the throne of God to accuse Job. This is what he does. He is the accuser, the maleficent accuser of the brethren, whereas Yeshua is the advocate, the righteous advocate before the throne. And we can take our petitions before him, our petitions for righteous judgment, just as the early believers did in the book of Acts. They took their case before the throne of heaven when Peter was in prison, about to be executed, and Peter was delivered, and Herod, in a short amount of times, was eaten by worms. We can bring these things before the throne in heaven. That's what we do as priest and king. Shalom, Torah fans. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Tap the subscription button and the bell icon. And I promise to update weekly with in-depth biblical research. Be sure to download the new michaelrood.tv app for both mobile and home devices for even more commercial-free content.